Yo, what's up, everybody? Al Karim here for coffee and a cocktail bar. I'm excited to have pal Jeffrey Cox here. Been a realtor for quite some time in this city. Jeff and I know each other just from the industry and mutual friends. Shout out to the Goat Shop, which I know Jeff goes to. So Richard, you're probably not watching, but we're both big fans of Rich and what he does there. But yeah, Jeff, thanks for coming, man. Why don't you give the folks a bit of background about yourself and we can jump into a bit of conversation.
Yeah, so I've been a realtor here in Calgary for about the last 11 years at RE/MAX Central. Service kind of all over the city, do a lot of stuff in the inner city. And now kind of my next venture is I have a lot in Inglewood that I live on now, and I've just been going through the process of creating middle housing.
Yeah, super stoked. We'll get into that. So obviously, Jeff, you've been in real estate for a long time. Calgary's interesting because it has like the ebbs and flows. With what you're seeing now, like what like, tell us about what that's looked like for you. Like where were you practicing before? Where are you practicing now? Where are your clients based out of? And there's so much hype around housing. I'm just curious for a guy who's on the front line selling this stuff, what it's like.
Yeah, I mean, I think something that comes to my mind when I think about the housing market right now. So I just turned 30 last week.
Wow, man. Congrats.
Thank you.
Big milestone.
Big milestone.
Yeah.
And as such, when I first started selling real estate, I mean, I was 19 years old. So it was kind of just, a lot of my clients at that point were just older than I. And now as I'm kind of getting to the age where my friends and friends of friends are all in the housing market now, I think one of the biggest things that I do notice is just how hard it is for people in Calgary in that age group trying to buy their first home.
Yeah, and why is that? Maybe dive in. Like, why is it so hard for folks in that age group?
Yeah, I mean, the hardest part is just the price tag on things.
Got it.
And I think people that are in my age group, ideally, everybody wants to try and stay close to the city.
Okay.
But now to try and get close to the city in a livable, kind of at least semi-nice home, we're kind of breaching up in that $800,000 price point.
Got it.
Which even my friends where both of them have good jobs, it's a stretch.
Yeah. And so what are you seeing out there for options in that $800,000 price point?
Yeah, like options now. I mean, you're either getting something kind of like a older home on a 25-foot wide lot. It's going to be kind of like 90s style. Or if you go to like a semi-detached, you're going to get, again, just a semi-detached home that needs work.
Got it.
So it's hard to get into a home that people are just like super stoked about.
Yeah, interesting. And then there's lots of folks who kind of say, well, why can't more folks like buy those older homes and retrofit them and live in them? What are your clients' takes about some of those 1930s, could be torn down, but could be renovated? Like, are you finding folks interested in that, or what would be some of the obstacles?
Not really. I mean, yourself, I'm quickly finding out now that to take on any kind of project, it's a project.
Yeah.
And I'm in the industry and you're in the industry and it's still so hard.
Yeah, fair.
So I think for those people, especially if they're buying their first home and they're around 30 years old, it's just hard for them.
Got it. Yeah. And so how many of those clients do you find now of yours that are deciding like, listen, it looks like I'm going to have to move to a suburb or to further away from the city, even though I might not want to? Like, are you finding that that's happening quite often?
Yeah, like my clients are tending to trend towards moving out, or they just finally kind of make some concessions. And it's like a balancing act of each individual. And I say it's about 50-50 for people trying to stay in the inner city, or if they're just kind of, I guess, giving up, for lack of a better word, and moving further out.
Yeah. So it sounds like housing options is clearly a concern for your clients in terms of, one, do they make enough? So things are getting more expensive within the inner city, you'd say, obviously.
Big time.
Yeah. And I guess like from your perspective, obviously like we're going to get into middle, but aside from that, like where do you see the market going? Because everyone keeps talking about like more people coming to Calgary, more expensive, less affordable. Like, how do you ever get affordability back?
Yeah, I mean, in my opinion, really the only way to get affordability is going to be to create more houses. And then as far as where the market's going, like there's just no data that's telling us that the prices are going to be going anywhere but up. A stat that I heard the other day was that in 2014, when we were at our last peak, Canada housing prices were 5% above the national average. And then when we were at the bottom in 2020, we were 40% below. And right now we're still 20% below.
Oh, wow.
So if we did that same cycle again
Yeah.
and got to 5% above the average, like Calgary could have another 100, 200 grand to go.
Oh man, that's terrifying.
Yeah.
And so I guess like you're not in the rental housing space. Like I know a lot of realtors are starting to move into the rental space because there's more folks who are just saying, look, I think I'm okay to rent to stay in the areas that I want versus maybe own a home. Maybe talk to me the difference between rental or ownership. What are you seeing out there?
Like it's just as far as people.
Yeah, just like clients that are like choosing to rent longer than maybe instead of buy because of pricing. Like, are you seeing more folks renting longer?
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, the reason for that is because it's just so expensive to buy a home. And for me, I mean, I really believe in home ownership, and it feels good. It's good financially. It's good.
Yeah, yeah.
So it hurts me to see some of my clients, especially people that are now around my age, that just can't do it, and it's getting dragged on longer and longer. And then I have clients where it took them a year or two to finally kind of rip the Band-Aid off and buy something, and it just ends up costing them so much money because the prices have went up so much.
Got it. Yeah. And obviously interest rates plays a huge role in this. Like if interest rates continue to climb, the threshold to buy becomes challenging, I'm assuming, and you're probably experiencing that right now.
Big time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously we have to talk about, middle housing because we're here for that. Largest public hearing in the history of council, which is kind of exciting. Like I know a lot of folks are frustrated or nervous or whatever about some of the commentary, but I'm actually just excited to see so many Calgarians engaged in this conversation. Like the fact that people care. I know people think it's like a huge percentage of Calgarians. Like I think there was 700 people signed up. There's 1.5 million people in our city. Like I don't know if everyone cares as much as I would hope, but yeah, like tell us where you sit. Obviously, like you've traded in real estate. Maybe give us a bit of your thoughts of what you've seen in middle housing, why it's been interesting for you, or I would want you to talk to me from a real estate perspective as a realtor. What have you been seeing?
Yeah, like I mean, I think when I think about middle housing, to me, it's really just a solution to try and bring more to the market, because I believe that the only way that we're going to get any kind of a handle on this crazy pricing that we're having is we just need more homes. Because again, all the numbers just tell us that we just don't have enough homes. Yeah, so I think that's kind of where I'm at with it. Is I understand people's concern with they don't want their neighborhoods crowded and that kind of thing. But it just has to happen. I think for a city to grow, we need to build more homes. And I think that the inner city is really the hub and the heartbeat of the city. And with more people in there, I think that heartbeat just gets more vibrant and better. And it just helps grow a city and create a vibe.
Yeah. Lots of people are concerned, like you just said, that like they've made this the most important investment in their entire life into their existing home. Like they built a big single family home, they built a duplex. Well, they're worried that is going to be impacted negatively from this zoning or from middle housing. So maybe can you walk through your perspective of someone who has a $1.5 million semi-detached home living next to a fourplex? Like, are you seeing that be a negative detractor? Is that pushing people not to buy in certain areas because there is more density coming to these neighborhoods?
No, like I haven't seen that personally at all. And like when I look at the project that I'm doing and the place that I'm living currently now, it's like I'm living in a 800 square foot 1940s home that doesn't look that nice on the outside.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not a stretch to say that when you have 4 brand new, beautiful homes built, that if anything, it can help your value of your home.
Yeah.
Right? Because we're not tearing down beautiful homes.
Yeah.
We're tearing down homes that are at the end of its life.
Yeah.
And they're on such big pieces of land, and we're in such a crisis with so many people needing homes that it's hard for me to believe that little home should stay on that big lot.
Yeah. So again, like I'm curious, as I said to you, off the camera, like the Calgary Real Estate Board came out and put out a report saying they're not supportive of citywide rezoning. They think it'll have a negative effect on the real estate industry. They don't think it helps affordability. I guess like it sounds like you think differently from that. And I guess like the industry seems divided. There's realtors that are heavily against this. And I'm curious to know where you think that divide comes. Like logically, in my mind, if I'm a realtor and one house is becoming 4 or 8, there's more real estate to transact from. Prices could come down because there's more units, like you said. But I guess, why do you think the industry is divided?
I think the industry is divided because, I think with any kind of big change that comes, people are scared of change and you don't know what it's going to look like. And partially too, I feel like, citywide rezoning, I feel like even just the name of it is pretty daunting.
Yeah,
I think it sounds a lot crazier than what it will end up being.
sure.
I mean, these changes, they don't just happen overnight. It's going to be kind of a slow build.
Yeah.
So I think it's divided because I think with any big change causes division and people are scared of change. And then there's always kind of the complex of like, we do want affordability. These people that are in those neighborhoods, they have kids and I'm sure they see their kids struggling. But then there's always the not in my backyard.
Sure. What do you say to people that say that this doesn't actually impact affordability? Like it's the average price to move into, let's say, Altador is, I don't know what it is. You probably know more than me. It's got to be
like
$750 to $1 million to get a house.
More.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And so when folks say, hey, row houses won't actually help solve affordability, these neighborhoods are already too expensive. What do you say to that?
I guess the question that I would ask back to them would be like, well, what is the solution? If supply is not the solution, then I just don't know what could be the solution. It's like we can, if you want to say interest rates and bring interest rates down more, it's like, well, we had that. And what happened to the pricing?
Yeah, fair.
Right. So in my opinion, it's just a direct supply issue.
A supply issue, yeah. I'm curious about like mortgage helpers because there's lots of people who are terrified about suites. And I want to ask you about parking as well because that comes up a lot. But like, are your clients starting to think about like maybe I could get into a slightly higher price point because I could take the rental income from something? Like, are your clients starting to have that evolution in how they're thinking about what a home might look like now?
Some of them, yeah, they're starting to. I think the tricky part with that is people are still scared of, going for a higher price tag product. And then again, some people don't want someone living in their basement. For me, I mean, I'm doing that currently.
Yeah.
And I think it's great.
Yeah.
But I'm not seeing a lot of people doing that, but that could very well change.
Could be just not there's no knowledge base maybe or accessibility for that product today, I think is probably the challenge too.
Yeah, because basement suites in Calgary, so I grew up in Fort McMurray.
Yeah.
And Fort McMurray, the boom went crazy and the prices went so fast.
Yeah.
That basement suites were almost like the norm.
Yeah,
there.
fair.
And people were like, everybody wanted a basement suite.
Yeah.
But Calgary, basement suites are still kind of in like the last
2018 is when the policy came in. Yeah.
So it's still really new.
Relatively new. Yeah.
So I would expect that as time goes on, that people are going to get more interested in it.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Well, let's jump into your project. Obviously, you and I have chatted about this and why I wanted to bring you on. You're on your middle housing journey. You live in Inglewood in a single family that you were successfully able to get, rezoned yourself and you're at this kind of precipice moment, got a building permit. But yeah, tell us a bit about your journey and kind of what you've experienced so far.
Yeah. So I bought this house in 2021 and went through all the process of, getting permits and just getting things ready to build. And so I'm at the point now where I'm getting ready to submit for financing. But yeah, as far as the experience goes, it's been hard.
Yeah. And I guess like you and I have chatted, I've tried to kind of like give you a few tips, but I think like you were kind of one of my inspirations for why middle school needs to start was like, I felt like there's folks like you or a middle in general could maybe support your journey along the way. And I think we were talking about that off camera. Obviously, like you were saying, things are flying over your head. What is some of the information that you wish you had, even before you got going kind of thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think when I started out, it's just been figuring out everything as I go.
Yeah.
And I think like one thing that I really like about the idea of middle school is like the thing that I found is like the developer community is very small.
Yeah.
Like very, very small. And I didn't really...
Most people don't realize, particularly with established neighborhoods.
Yeah, I had no idea.
Yeah.
And so even just the amount of people that you can talk to get info is so small.
Yeah.
And then within that small group of people, personally, I felt like a lot of them had everything really close to their chest.
They didn't want to share it.
They didn't want to share.
Yeah.
And then even when they would share, it's like you could only get, 30 minutes of somebody's time.
Yeah.
And they're talking about concepts to you that are new and foreign and that you would probably need 30 minutes on each concept and they talking about 8 in the 30 minutes. So it was just like, I just felt like a lot of things were flying over my head.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was coming from me who's in the industry.
Who's a real estate professional.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I've been wanting to do this since the start of my career.
Yeah.
So it's not like I was just new thinking about this. Like, I've been wanting to do this for so long, and I've been trying to learn. So for the average like citizen wanting to do it, or it would be hard.
Yeah. Because your land use process took you how long just to get the land use submitted from the day that you started to approved?
So I got lucky. So actually, the previous owner, my
did the
neighbor
land
who owned the
use.
property, he did it.
Amazing. So you had that done,
but he had a hard time.
Yeah. But you're still where you are today. And how long has it since you decided that you wanted to embark on this journey? How long has it been?
Probably about close to a year and a half.
Okay. So you're already 18 months in, and now you're at this kind of finance thing, which I think one of the challenges is and again, this is why I hope Middle can help, but you didn't know these things from the front end. So it was tough for you to realize like you're investing money and then hoping that this is going to work.
Yeah.
And so I think, you and I are talking about this finance gap that you're currently finding yourself in. Maybe tell me like what you would tell like other customers who are starting this journey. Like what are some of the things that you would hope that you knew about before you even got started?
Oh man. I think some of the things that it's hard almost for me to feel like I can give that advice because I haven't brought it from start to finish yet.
Not there yet. Yeah.
I think some of the things I would probably say is just like, you just need patience and just be prepared to spend some money and like go through the trials and tribulations of it and try and seek a mentor. Like I've had some help from you, which has been amazing.
Yeah.
And then I really think this middle school thing is going to be super helpful for a lot of people.
Yeah, I hope so, man. And like, obviously like I've been doing it for 15 years now. And even I feel like I run into things that I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, I didn't know we need like, this much power in the lane in order to service the sites, or if a power pole is too far in the middle of a site, you have to pay for the power pole. But those are all just like little things, but they stack up and end up costing a lot of money. And for me, like, Middle is not just about education. The reason why policy and like working with municipalities is so important is like, unless we can make this simpler, even in terms of finance, we're not going to see homeowners or folks like yourself who are interested in producing more housing be able to do this. And so that's why I've been so interested in your journey, because it's like, I wish we could have touched base sooner, but now it's like, hey, Jeff, like walk me through where the challenges were so we can help other folks do this. And I actually think it's going to be amazing for realtors, because at the end of the day, like a homeowner, you're the trusted advisor for most homeowners. And so my hope is like, realtors come out to Middle, but also homeowners could come out to Middle so we could all figure out collectively what it takes to do what you're doing. And so, yeah, I don't know, man, I'm hoping that this works, but so right now, I think most folks are like, financing is the reason why I can't do this. And I know you're so close. Like you're in this place where I think like a bit of the guarantee is the issue. And so what would you tell folks like, who are stepping into this, like from your experiences? What do they need to know, early on, I guess?
I would say early on, what they need to know is that it's probably going to be harder than you think it is.
Yeah.
Because when I got into it, I guess I knew it was going to be hard, but you don't really realize how hard it is going to be. But I would also say that it's been like really fun. And I really do believe that once the project's going to be completed, I know I'm going to want to do it again.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be really rewarding. And I think something that they should know too is that like, it's just a great opportunity if you're willing to take on the risk and kind of put yourself through it, that it could be a really great opportunity for yourself and your family.
Yeah.
Financially. And I do believe that you're really helping the community, because we need so many homes.
Yeah, for sure. I love that. Like there's this financial benefit that helps you keep going and pushing through, but you also feel like you're creating this social benefit. And, my belief is like, if folks like you or folks who own those homes can create more homes and the home ownership stays with them rather than in, the financialization of housing, I think that's a huge benefit. And so if we can create a new ecosystem of developers to support folks like you in owning your home, I really think that we're there. We just have to create some of the frameworks. And I know you and I are still working through the financing. And if Steam HC is listening, let's get Jeff financed ASAP. But yeah, man, thanks so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. And looking forward to your journey and obviously helping however we can.
Perfect, Kate.
Yeah.
Thanks, Al.
Cool. Okay. Thanks, everyone.